For days, she waited alone. No one looked her way. No one cared. Some thought she was gone. Some thought she didn't matter. But she was still alive and still hoping. No one knew how long the cat had been there. That was the first mystery. Some said days. Others said weeks. But when people passed the narrow alley behind the market, they all noticed the same thing. The cat never moved. She lay curled against a cracked wall, half hidden by shadows, as if the city itself was trying to forget her. Sometimes her eyes were open. Sometimes they weren't. No one could tell if she was alive, or if they were just looking at something that hadn't yet realized it was dead. The smell of garbage hung heavy in the air. Rainwater pooled around her thin body, soaking into fur that had once been soft, once been touched by hands that claimed to care. One of her legs was bent at an unnatural angle. Her ribs showed clearly now, rising and falling slowly, painfully, like each breath was a question she wasn't sure she could answer again. She didn't cry. She didn't hiss. She had already learned that noise did not bring help. Silence, at least, did not waste energy. People saw her. They always did. A shopkeeper glanced at her every morning when he opened his stall. A child once pointed and asked, "Is it sleeping?" The mother pulled him away quickly. "Don't look," she said. Someone muttered that the cat had probably been abandoned. Someone else said, "Nature will take care of it." And so the city agreed, without words, that the cat would be allowed to die slowly as long as no one had to watch closely. At night, the pain grew worse. Hunger burned like fire in her stomach. Cold settled deep in her bones. Sometimes she dreamed, confusing, broken dreams, of warmth, of a window where sunlight spilled across the floor, of a bowl that never stayed empty. She dreamed of a voice calling her name, but she couldn't remember the name anymore, only the feeling of belonging. And waking up without it felt like being abandoned all over again. One night, she tried to stand. Her body betrayed her instantly. Her front paw collapsed beneath her weight, and she fell back onto the concrete with a sound so small it barely existed. For a long moment, she stayed there, her face pressed to the ground. Something inside her shifted, not dramatically, not loudly, but enough to matter. She stopped trying to move. She stopped looking toward the street. She stopped expecting footsteps to return. This, she seemed to decide, was where it would end. The next morning, the stranger walked into her story by accident. He wasn't looking for a cat. He wasn't even looking where he was going. His mind was elsewhere, caught in problems that felt heavy until something heavier appeared. He almost stepped over her. Almost. At the last second, something made him look down. Maybe it was the way her eyes followed him. Maybe it was the stillness that felt wrong. Maybe it was guilt arriving before logic. He stopped. People don't realize how hard stopping can be. Stopping means noticing. Noticing means responsibility. He stood there longer than he intended to, staring at the small, broken body on the ground. He told himself what everyone else had told themselves. Someone else will help. It's probably too late. I can't save everything. Then the cat blinked. Slowly, deliberately, as if she were making sure he was real. Something tightened in his chest. He crouched down, close enough now to see the wounds, the trembling, the way her body shook even though she wasn't moving. When he reached out, his hand hovered in the air. He was afraid of two things, that she would bite him, and that she wouldn't react at all. His fingers brushed her fur. She flinched violently, then froze. Her heart hammered so hard he could feel it through his hand. She didn't pull away. She didn't fight. She simply endured. That broke him more than any scratch ever could. "They left you," he whispered, though he didn't know who they were. "They really left you." The cat didn't answer, but her eyes stayed on his face, wide and exhausted, as if she were asking a question she was afraid to hear the answer to. "Are you leaving too?" Rain began to fall again. Cold, heavy drops. The stranger looked around. People passed. No one slowed down. No one offered help. The world continued, indifferent and busy. And suddenly the choice was clear in a way that terrified him. If he walked away, she would not last another night. He took off his jacket and wrapped it around her. She was so light it shocked him. When he lifted her, she didn't struggle. Her head rested against his arm, limp, trusting, or maybe just too tired to care anymore. As he walked, her eyes stayed open. She didn't close them. Not once. At the clinic, the words were worse than he expected. She's critical. She's been suffering for a long time. We don't know if she'll make it. Each sentence felt like a weight placed directly on his chest. When they asked if he wanted to proceed with treatment, he didn't ask how much it would cost. He didn't ask how long it would take. He only asked one question. Is there a chance? The vet looked at him carefully. A small one. That's enough, he said. The waiting was torture. Hours turned into endless stretches of silence. He imagined the alley, the rain, the moment he almost didn't stop. The guilt came in waves, sharp and relentless. He wondered how many times she had looked at passing feet and hoped. How many times hope had died quietly without anyone noticing. Days passed. The cat didn't wake up. Then one morning she did. Just barely. Just enough to open her eyes and breathe on her own. It wasn't a miracle. It was slow, fragile, uncertain. She refused food at first. She hissed weakly when touched. She didn't trust the hands trying to save her. Why would she? Hands had failed her before. But the stranger kept coming. He sat beside her cage and spoke softly. About his day. About nothing important. About the weather. He told her she was safe, even when she didn't believe him. Even when he wasn't sure. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, she changed. She ate. A little. She slept without shaking. She leaned toward his voice. When Yvette finally said she could go home, he was terrified. What if he failed her too? What if love wasn't enough? The first weeks were hard. She hid. She startled. She flinched at sudden movements. But she watched him constantly, studying, measuring, waiting for the moment he would disappear like everyone else. He didn't. One night, months later, she climbed onto his chest as he slept. He woke to the sound of purring, deep, steady, real. He didn't move. He barely breathed. Tears slid quietly into his pillow as he realized what that sound meant. She had chosen to trust again. The cat who had been left to die now slept in warmth. The body that had once been broken now stretched comfortably in sunlight. The eyes that once waited for the end now followed him from room to room, alive with something dangerously beautiful. Hope, because sometimes the happy ending doesn't come quickly. Sometimes it crawls out of an alley, broken and bleeding, and survives only because one person decided that walking away was not an option. And sometimes that is enough to change everything. The cat didn't just walk into his house. She walked into a family that was slowly falling apart. Before her, the home was quiet in the wrong way. His wife spent hours staring out the window, lost inside thoughts she never shared. Depression sat beside her like an invisible weight, heavy and constant. She overthought everything. Small worries became long nights. Loneliness followed her even when she wasn't alone. Their conversations had grown shorter. Smiles came less often. The child felt it too, playing quietly, sensing a sadness no one explained. Then the cat arrived. At first, she stayed cautious, watching from corners, unsure if this place would disappear like the last one. But the child noticed her before anyone else did. Small hands reached out gently, not to hurt, but to invite. Soon, laughter returned to the house. Real laughter. As the child rolled a soft toy across the floor and the cat chased it clumsily, sliding into walls, stopping to look confused, then chasing again. The sound filled rooms that had been empty for too long. His wife changed without realizing it. She began sitting on the floor, brushing the cat's fur slowly, carefully, as if afraid the moment might break. The cat slept beside her during the day, a warm, breathing presence that asked for nothing except to stay. When anxiety crept in, the gentle weight on her lap pulled her back into the present. She started talking again, smiling again. Some days, she even laughed, surprised by the sound of it herself. The man watched it all quietly. He saw his child happier, lighter. He saw his wife's eyes soften, the constant tension easing little by little. He saw his home become alive again. And every time he did, his chest filled with something that felt like peace. One evening, as the sun spilled gold across the living room floor, the cat lay stretched out, purring as the child played nearby, and his wife smiled. Really smiled for the first time in a long while. The man stood in the doorway, unable to move. Tears welled in his eyes, not from sadness, but from something deeper. He remembered the alley, the rain, the moment he almost walked away. He realized then that saving the cat hadn't just saved one life. It had healed a family. It had brought joy back into a home that had forgotten how to feel it. It had given his wife comfort, his child laughter, and his heart a reason to believe again. The cat who had once been left to die now slept surrounded by love. And the man understood something he would never forget. Sometimes the smallest rescue creates the biggest miracle. This little life, once left to die, found hope, and in saving her, a family was healed. A home was filled with laughter again. Love returned where it had been lost. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can change everything. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more emotional stories like this. Also, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us, what country are you watching this story from? Because even across the world, hope connects us all.